There are 200 nests in the trees above this water. Under those trees, 15 crocodiles are lying in the shallows with nothing to do. They are not hunting. They are waiting, and they will wait here for 11 weeks. None of them has any idea what it is standing under. Before this season is finished, about 1 chick in 5 will come out of those nests and land in the water below. That is not an accident of this tree. It is the price of it. And every adult bird in this colony chose this tree on purpose. Have you ever seen an animal pay a predator to protect its young? That is what is happening here every day for 3 months. No bird in this colony has ever raised more chicks anywhere else, and none of them will ever know why. This is the part that is hard to watch. A chick loses its grip on the rim of a nest 60 feet up, and it falls the whole way without opening its wings, because at 19 days old, it does not have wings yet. It hits the water, and the surface opens under it before the ripples reach the bank. There is no struggle in the water, because a chick that age cannot swim either. 1 crocodile out of 15 gets there first. The other 14 do not lift their heads, because all of them have learned how this pool hands things out. The adults in the nest above do not look down. Not one of the 200 pairs in this tree changes what it is doing. The colony sits in 6 fig trees standing in the edge of a floodplain channel. Great egrets, yellow-billed storks, and gray herons all packed into the same branches, all raising young at the same time. At the height of the season, there are more than 1,000 birds in an area the size of a house. The noise never stops, day or night. From 200 yards away, it sounds like a market. From directly underneath, it sounds like weather. One of those nests belongs to a gray heron we will call Zia. She is 7 years old. This is her 5th breeding season, and she has 3 chicks. The oldest is 22 days old. The youngest hatched 4 days after the other 2 and is roughly half their weight. That gap is going to decide everything that happens in this nest. 4 days is nothing on a calendar, and it is a whole lifetime in a nest full of open mouths. Under the tree, holding the best station in the pool, is a crocodile about 13 feet long. He has been in this same stretch of water for 6 seasons. He knows this tree the way a farmer knows a field. He knows which branches lose chicks and which ones do not, and he holds his station under the ones that do. When the birds arrive in the spring, he stops traveling, and he stops hunting properly, and he simply parks himself under them. So why would a bird build a nest above that? Start with the alternative, because the alternative is much worse. A heron colony on dry ground is one of the easiest food sources in Africa. It is a fixed address, it announces itself for a mile, and it is full of eggs and helpless young for 3 straight months. Everything that eats eggs knows where it is by the 2nd day. The real problem is the monitor lizard. A large monitor climbs better than almost anything its size, works a tree methodically, and empties nest after nest without hurrying. One monitor with 3 days of access can take out 1/3 of a colony. It does not need to be fast because eggs do not run. And it has the one advantage that decides everything against birds, which is that it arrives where they cannot follow it. Behind the monitor there is a whole line of others. Baboons will strip a colony in a single morning and take chicks large enough to fight back. Genets come in at night and work the outer nests. Snakes come up the trunk and are almost never noticed until a nest goes silent. A colony on the ground can lose an entire branch overnight, and the birds on the next branch will never know why. A colony on land is not a nursery. It is a queue. Now put the same colony 60 feet up, in a tree standing in open water, with 15 crocodiles under it. The baboon troop will not cross. That decision is not close, and they make it without testing it. Every animal on this floodplain carries one rule about deep water, and that rule is older than any of them. A genet will not swim it. And a monitor lizard, which swims perfectly well, has to make the crossing in water that belongs entirely to something bigger. That is the whole arrangement, and this is exactly how much it costs. The fee is paid in chicks that fall out. Not chicks that are taken from the nest, because nothing can reach the nest. Chicks that lose their grip, or get pushed, or starve and go over the rim on their own. The crocodiles do not take a single thing that the tree does not drop. They have no way at all to reach up, and across 11 weeks, they will never once need to. Zia leaves the nest at first light and flies 4 miles to a drying pan to fish. She is gone about 90 minutes. For 90 minutes a day, the 3 chicks in that nest are entirely on their own. And that is when the nest settles things. While she is gone, the oldest chick stands on top of the other 2. That is not cruelty, and it is not a mistake, and every heron in this tree does it. Standing on a sibling is the first survival skill a heron ever learns, and it learns it before it can see properly. When she comes back, she brings food up in her throat and lowers her head into the nest. All 3 chicks push for it. The oldest is stronger, reaches higher, and gets most of what comes up. Zia does not distribute anything. She delivers, and the nest sorts it out. There is no version of a heron that shares food out evenly, because there has never been a season that rewarded one. By the time she leaves again, the smallest chick has taken almost nothing. This is the part almost nobody explains properly. A heron does not raise 3 chicks. It raises as many as the season allows. The 3rd egg is insurance against the first 2 failing, and if the first 2 do not fail, the 3rd chick is a cost that gets written off. Nothing in that nest is designed to save it, and the thing that removes it is lying in the water 60 feet below, with its eyes above the surface. The smallest chick tries. It pushes into the middle of the nest at every feed and gets shouldered out. It calls constantly, which costs it energy it cannot replace. By day 19, it has stopped calling, which is a much worse sign than the calling was. A chick that has gone quiet inside a colony this loud has already dropped out of the competition. And Zia cannot fix any of it. Watch what she actually has available. She cannot feed open 1 chick separately because she regurgitates once into a nest of open mouths. She cannot carry a chick anywhere because a heron's feet are not built to grip and lift. She cannot make the nest safer because the nest is a platform of sticks in the fork of a branch that moves in every wind. It is the same design herons have built for as long as there have been herons, and it has never included a wall. And there is one more thing she cannot do, which is the one that matters. If a chick goes over the rim, she cannot retrieve it. She can see it in the water. She can land beside it in the shallows. She cannot lift it. And she will not stand next to it for more than a few seconds, because the water it is lying in is not empty. On the 20th day, the smallest chick goes over. It does not fall from a shove, and it does not fall in wind. It works its way to the rim on its own, weak and unbalanced, and it goes over the edge head first. The fall takes about 2 seconds. The crocodile that has held the best station under this tree for 6 seasons does not even have to move his tail. It is finished so quickly that the 2 chicks still in the nest do not react to any of it. Zia is on the nest when it happens. She looks over the side once, then she turns back to the 2 chicks that are still there and goes on standing over them. There is no ceremony in this, and there is nothing cold about it either. She has 2 chicks that are going to fledge, and the season has about 3 weeks left in it. Everything she does for the rest of this month is aimed at those 2, and none of it was ever aimed at 3. Run the arithmetic that this whole colony is built on. On dry ground, in a season with a monitor working the trees and baboons in the area, This colony loses most of what it produces. Entire nests go, eggs and chicks together, and the adults are not able to stop any of it. Here, it loses roughly 1 chick in 5, almost all of them third chicks that were never going to fly. The fence around this nursery is made of mouths, and it is still the cheapest fence available. It costs this colony the chicks it was going to lose anyway, and it costs it nothing else whatsoever. And the crocodiles are not guarding anything. That needs to be completely clear, because it is where most people go wrong with this. Not one animal in that water has any idea it is providing a service. A crocodile under a heron colony is doing the laziest thing available to a large predator, which is standing under a tree that drops meat. If the birds vanished tomorrow, he would drift downstream inside a week and never look up again. For 11 weeks, that pool is the cheapest place in the valley to be a crocodile. A 13-foot animal needs to eat properly perhaps once a week, and it can do it here without ever making a hunt. No stalking, no ambush, no chase, no risk of injury. The entire cost of that food is patience, and patience is free. For a cold animal in warm water, doing nothing is not a sacrifice. It is the cheapest condition it has, which is why 15 of them are here instead of 5. And that is the part of this arrangement that the birds actually need. 1 crocodile is a hazard in a channel. 15 crocodiles spread across 40 yards of water is a wall, and a monitor lizard has to get through it twice, once going, and once coming back with a full stomach. At about 11 in the morning, one of them tries. A monitor lizard nearly 5 feet long comes down the far bank and stops at the water's edge. It has been watching this colony for 2 days from the reeds. It is not confused about what is in the channel. It has lived beside crocodiles its entire life. What it is doing is timing. By late morning, the heat has moved most of the crocodiles. 7 of them are out of the water on the far bar, lying with their mouths open to cool. 3 more have drifted downstream into the shade of the reeds. The wall that was 40 yards wide at dawn is now 4 animals holding the middle of it. The monitor enters the water and swims with only its head and the ridge of its tail showing. It covers 30 yards. A crocodile turns toward it at 10 yards, and the monitor accelerates into the roots of the nearest fig, and that is the whole of the crossing. It is up the trunk before the crocodile has finished turning. 10 yards of open water is the whole defense of this colony, and this morning it failed. What happens in the tree over the next 19 minutes is the reason those birds pay what they pay. The monitor works the outer nests, low down, where the youngest and least experienced pairs build. It works quickly because it knows exactly how long the water behind it stays empty. It takes eggs out of 2 nests and a chick out of a third. It does not need to climb high because low nests are exactly what a wall of crocodiles usually makes safe. The colony mobs it. 40 adults come off their nests and dive at it, striking with bills that can go through a fish's skull. The monitor turns its back to the trunk, flattens, and takes it. Mobbing works on a snake, and it works on a genet. It does almost nothing to an animal wearing that skin. 40 of the best armed birds in this valley cannot make 1 lizard let go of 1 egg. But the mobbing is not really aimed at the lizard. 40 birds screaming over 1 point of water is the loudest thing that happens in this valley all week. The crocodiles on the far bar are back in the channel within 90 seconds. The wall reassembles itself under the tree, and it does it without any animal in the water understanding what it is reassembling for. The monitor now has a full stomach and a problem. It sits in the fork of that fig for 4 hours, and it does not come down. By the time the light goes and the surface cools, there are 11 crocodiles between it and the far bank. It spends the night in the tree and swims out at first light while they are still cold. 3 nests were emptied. On dry ground, that same lizard, with 3 days and no water to cross, would have emptied 40. That is the entire difference between this colony and a failed one, and it was measured today in a single morning. 9 days later, the season sends the other kind of bill. A storm comes across the floodplain in the late afternoon, and it comes with a wind these trees only get a few times a year. Every nest in this colony is a platform of loose sticks in a fork, and there is not one of them that is tied to anything. The first thing the adults do is stand up. A heron on a nest in high wind does not crouch. It stands over the chicks with its wings half open and lets the wind hit it instead of them. Zia is broadside to the gusts for 19 minutes with her 2 chicks braced against her legs. Her nest holds. Along the same branch, 3 others do not. The difference between the nests that held and the nests that went was the birds standing on top of them. Chicks come out of that colony for the better part of half an hour. The water under the trees is busier in 20 minutes than in the previous 3 weeks combined. Crocodiles that had drifted downstream come back up. Some of what lands in that channel is taken before it goes under, and some of it is taken from the bottom. Nothing that enters that water in this half hour comes back out of it. By dusk, the wind has dropped, and the colony is doing something that looks almost impossible. The adults that lost nests are already carrying sticks. They will not raise young this year because there is not enough season left, but they rebuild anyway, and they hold the site. A pair that loses its place over the channel spends the next season out on the edge, over the mud, where the lizard can reach it. A nest position in this tree is worth more than a season, and they are protecting an address. And here is what those birds are actually protecting, which is worth understanding properly. The nests in this colony are not equally good, and the pattern of who gets which one is not random. The oldest and heaviest birds hold the branches directly over open water. The youngest pairs get the branches at the edges, over the mud and the reeds. That is the opposite of what you would expect. Over open water is the drop that kills a chick that goes over the rim. Over mud is the drop a chick can survive. The most experienced birds in this colony compete for the position with the worst possible landing underneath it, and they win those positions and hold them for years. They are not choosing the safe fall. They are choosing the deep water. The branches over the channel are the ones no monitor can reach without the full crossing. The branches over the mud are reachable from the bank, and every nest the lizard emptied this morning was one of those. The adults optimize for the crocodile, not against it. So the traffic in this arrangement runs both directions, and neither species can see it. The birds are using 15 predators as a perimeter fence and paying them in young that were already lost. The crocodiles are using 200 nests as a food delivery system and paying nothing at all. Neither of them can perceive the deal, and that is precisely why it has held in this channel for longer than any animal in it has been alive. And there is a second payment nobody notices. 1,000 birds sitting over one pool for 3 months put a great deal into that water. Droppings, fish scraps, dead chicks, broken eggs. The pool under a heron colony carries far more small fish than the channel above or below it, and the crocodiles that live there have been eating those fish all season without any idea where they came from. This is what cooperation looks like when you take the word apart. Nothing here is offered, nothing is intended, nothing is understood by anyone. 2 species that would each destroy the other's young given the chance are stacked one above the other, and both of them are better off for it. Across 3 months, not one signal passes between them, and none is needed. The fence is made of mouths, and the rent is paid in the young that were never going to fly. Count Zia's season. 3 eggs, 3 hatched. 1 went into the water on the 20th day. 2 are now standing on the rim of the nest, twice the size they were at the storm, opening their wings into the wind without letting go. On dry ground, in a season with that lizard in it, the likeliest outcome for her nest was nothing at all. Count the colonies season. 200 nests. Somewhere around 1 chick in 5 gone into the channel. 3 nests emptied by a lizard that got through the wall for a single morning. 4 nests lost to one storm. And more young birds coming off this tree than off any colony on solid ground within 30 miles. Count the crocodile season. 11 weeks without a hunt. Not one chase, not one ambush, not one injury, not one contested kill against anything that could damage him. He has spent 3 months under a tree that feeds him, and he is heavier now than at any point in the year. The most dangerous animal in this channel has spent a whole season getting fat on gravity. In about 3 weeks, all of that ends at once. The chicks that are left will fledge, and the colony will empty over 4 or 5 days. The tree will go quiet for the first time since the rains. The easiest food in this valley will simply stop falling out of the sky, and 15 crocodiles will have to go back to work. Whatever they do next, they will do it thinner, and not one of them will connect those two facts. None of them can prepare for that, and none of them will remember it either. Next season, the birds will come back to the same 6 trees and compete hardest for the branches over the deepest water. The crocodiles will feel the noise start above them and stop traveling. Nobody will decide anything. The light goes orange over the floodplain, and the colony gets louder instead of quieter, the way it does every evening. Zia stands over 2 chicks that will be gone in a month. Below her, in 4 feet of warm water, something that would eat all 3 of them, lies with its eyes above the surface, keeping everything else away for free. Nothing out here is generosity. It is only ever an exchange that both sides can survive. And this one has held for longer than anyone in it can remember.